I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, but right now I'm living in Fayette, Iowa. Currently, I'm a senior student pursuing my business administration degree, and I'm continuing my master's in human resource management. Okay, so we are going to talk about the thing that happens all the time in work setting, in any business setting, work setting, or even, when friends go out and chat. All right, let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so before we start getting into the details, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you just go ahead and answer them. You don't have to tell me the answers, just write it down on a piece of paper, and then we will discuss the answers real quick. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, all right, number 1. The use of jargon is an example of which type of communication barrier? All right, that should be pretty easy. All right, so once you're done, just let me know.
Okay, done.
All right, proceed to the next one. All right, this is a better question. Hey, Joe, I need that report real quick. When can I get it to me? I'll get it as soon as I can. So which one best fits Joe's description?
Okay.
All right, we'll proceed to the next question. Okay, 3rd question. This will be the last one. So paraphrasing is a useful communication tool that involves.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's review back questions number 1. All right, so what did you put for this one? Hello? Hello?
1 second, I've got background noise.
Okay, you're fine.
Say psychological.
Psychological, okay. What do you think is psychological? We know the use of jargon, it's jargon is professional terms that we use in business settings. Like in the business world, we would use specific terms like letter of credit, LC, or KPI, or ROI. So why do you think it's psychological and not cultural?
Cultural might be because if I'm nervous, I might be using a lot of nonsense words. But cultural would be kind of like a difference in communication that's not necessarily jargon, useless information,
Okay, all right. And well, when I designed this question, it's there's no specific answer. It's like how you perceive it.
Sure.
So that's one of the things that when we say we have communication barriers, it's also one of the things that says we have to break down perception of different things. Like it can be cultural thing, just because like in the Midwest, people don't say soda, they say pop, that kind of thing. So jargon, basically, like if you think of business majors and then you think of communication majors, they are pretty much basically the same thing. We are all human beings working towards a goal, which is to sell a problem. It's just we have different approach to it. That's why we have different things. So it could be a cultural thing. It could also be a language thing. Physiological depends on how you say it, but answers are really subjective. All right, let's move on to the next one. So what did you get for this one?
I said B.
Okay, so Joe will get started on a report as soon as he feels like he is able to. Yep, nothing wrong with that. Some people might perceive it as A, so he'll get started as soon as he finishes his work on hand, just because in some cultures, it is really unpolite to not, you have to put work in like orders. Someone has to be in line. Okay, I gotta settle this work first before I go to the next one. So I'll get to it as soon as I can, which means I might finish this one before I go to the next one. And if we look at C, we'll not get a report done by today, but we'll get started as early as next Monday. That's also in some cultures, like in Asian cultures, in specifically Hong Kong. I've noticed that if I want to get stuff done as soon as I can, it has to be on a Monday. So they have like a cycle, a work cycle. So they have to put everything new on Monday. So they will start doing everything from Monday to Friday, and then the next Monday will be a new cycle. And then for as answer number D, he'll put down a task as soon as he has the moment to get the report done. In some cultures, that's also one of the barriers. Like, okay, I'll get it to you as soon as I can. So what does that mean? Do I have to put down my stuff right now, or do I have to complete the first stuff that I have, and then move towards the next one? So that's really a funny thing that we see in different perspectives. And what did you get for this one? Third question.
I said B.
Okay, so B is finding slightly different words to repeat the same main idea of the speaker. Okay, this is like a general answer. B would be the correct answer because A is repeating exactly what the speaker says is practically not paraphrasing, it's repeating. And then C is like changing the subject. So we're not changing the subject, we're actually saying the same thing. And then which leads into my next point. So communication barriers in a business setting, we have three things that we see most of the time, including in one of our X-Culture reports. Jargon, professional terms, specific terms. Number two will be lack of attention, interest, distractions, irrelevance to the receiver. And then number third one will be differences in perception and viewpoint. So let's look at the first one, jargon. Keywords, phrases that only insiders will know. I've listed specific examples like ROI, return on investment, KPI, key performance index. Like in some places they use TBC, to be confirmed. In some places they use TBA, to be announced. LC, letter of credit. And the most famous one would be, well, WYA, where are you at? That's what millennials are using in the workplace right now to say, hey, where are you at? So one thing that we can avoid in confusing other people is when you're writing emails or writing a professional memo or a business memo or some sort, is we would write out the full sentence. I know it would be long, but Google right now has smart typing that you just type in, hit the tab button, and it will type that word for you. It has suggestions for you. The more you say it, the more it's going to register in your brain. So that's one thing that can save us a lot of time. So the second thing that we see in communication barrier problems is a lack of attention, interest, distraction, or irrelevance to the receiver. So interest is a really subjective term because depending on what you are saying, like in some places in X culture, we want to bring cultures together. We want to break down the barriers between people, between different countries, so we can meet our goals. But when we look at communication, there's a three-step process. So it's the encoding, and then the process, and then decoding. If I say, I like apples, and then the receiver will say, okay, this guy likes apples. So interest is actually a two-way thing that people have to know. It's not only like one side that says, the other side has to understand. So interest, depending on which setting we are talking about, so we have to make things really clear. When we want to discuss about something, everyone has to put in the attention to say, okay, we are on the same page before we proceed to discussing about it. Otherwise, if no one's on the same page, that will be a problem. The second thing is irrelevance in ideas. So not cohesive, not on the same page. That's what I've explained. So there's actually an example that a lot of cultures may not know. So, let's create a promotional ad for the annual Super Bowl. So not a lot of people know what Super Bowl is. That could be a problem. And then there's words that are different, like between countries, like football, soccer. So that's one of those examples that is very interesting, that people want to know, and potentially a communication barrier. So the third thing I want to talk about is the difference in perception and viewpoint. If some people know about the neuro-linguistic programming, it's like there are three types of communication styles that we look at. So there's a up chunk, parallel, and then a down chunk. Basically, people talk in three ways. In different settings, we use different techniques to speak. So the first one, up chunk, it's boosting the topic to a high level. Basically, we're broadening it. Parallel, basically, we stay on the same level. We want people to understand more, so we use a parallel terms of speaking. And then if we use the down chunk, it will be, we'll narrow down the topic, make it in something more specific, that people might have questions on it. So I'm going to go ahead and explain on how can we break down communication barriers using these 3 techniques. So up chunk, there's a lot of words in reading. So I'm just going to skim through it real quick, read real quick, and then look for the keywords that why makes it up chunk. So the world's most popular drink is water. You probably knew that already. After all, it's a basic requirement of life on Earth. But did you know that the world's second most popular drink is Coke? And that the human race drinks 600 million Cokes a day, and so on and so on. So when we read this out loud, people will say, oh, he is bringing from one topic to another topic, which is kind of funny when we look at the keywords. So the first sentence, popular drink is water. And then he moves on from water to a basic requirement of life on Earth. And then we move on to Coke. And then Coke, and then he has a description. And then we move up to perspective. And then it means that every week, every year, people drink enough Coke to fill the World Trade Center. So from water to Coke to World Trade Center, it gets bigger and bigger. And the next keyword, Niagara Falls. And then Miami to Malawi, it gets bigger and bigger, up chunk. This is one thing that I've noticed throughout how people communicate, especially when in group chats. Male students tend to communicate this way. Oh, you watch the New England Patriots? Nah. I like Minnesota Vikings, and so on. They like to compare. Which one's better? Which one's better? This one goes better. Hey, did you know that football is one of the world's most watched video, world's most watched sport? And then it goes into like a world topic, and then it goes up to another topic that might relate it to world. Male students tend to speak that way. So when we are discussing a topic, when people are communicating, there's a potential chance that people will go into a tangent because of this way. Not to say that this communication has a problem, but sometimes you might want to speak it this way if you want to expand your topic into something that creates attention for people to understand, oh, so it's not just one thing, it can be related to a lot of things. So one thing that I can recommend is to look at the butterfly effect. So one thing will affect another one, affect another one, affect another one. It goes into a higher level. The second way of communication would be parallel. So this is one of the great examples. So when someone feels down in the dumps, they will go and drink. And we can say, hey, instead of drinking, you can opt to go for a vacation, party, listen to music, and so on. Those are great ideas too. So this type of communication revolves around, instead of drinking, there are options A, B, C, D, E that will keep the audience at bay and revolve around solving the problem using the same level of solutions. In X culture, we have a problem that, hey, what kind of communication website we should use that enables us to group chat, enables us to communicate better, enables us to put emojis in chat. People start brainstorming. Hey, we can use WeChat. No, WeChat is limited. We need to use VPN. Hey, why don't we try Facebook Messenger? Some people might say, oh, Facebook Messenger. A lot of people have been using that, and I have a lot of groups. Why don't we use WhatsApp? So on and so on. So parallel is one way to keep audiences at bay, keeps everyone from solving the problems on the same level, that it won't chunk up or it won't go down. So the last one will be the down chunk. This is one of the great examples that you see daily, life to life, and then one of the best ways to communicate, especially female students. Females tend to communicate in this manner. So it's not about solving a problem, it's about keeping in a better connection of how should we solve the problem and giving a better solution. So this example will be, hey, let's have dinner. Sure, what would you like to eat? I kind of want Chinese. So would you want Chinese buffet or takeout? I don't think I can eat buffet tonight, maybe something lighter. Takeout sounds a good idea. Let's go somewhere near instead of downtown. Sure thing. So the problem narrows down from dinner to Chinese, and the buffet and takeout, and then it goes down. In this type of situation, we see in lots of X-culture teams when they want to solve a problem, especially in the reports. So the best way for clients to understand what you're trying to persuade them with using the down chunk method. So let the clients know, okay, this is your problem. You are lacking in human resource. What do you need to do when you go down to another level? We should narrow the problem into something smaller that clients can understand. What are we trying to achieve? Okay, I understand. We have a human resource problem. What should we do? We should host more stricter interviews instead of being more lenient. Okay, stricter interviews. And then when we go down, stricter interview, more strict interviews. What can they bring? Better human talent, better number of, it might be a smaller pool, but we get more quality people. Okay, so what happens if we get quality people? It means we have a better understanding of choosing who we should hire, and then we go down. It narrows down the problem. Same goes to most of the X-culture problems. So in a report, start from general and work your way towards something more specific. So instead of some teams, they would use the parallel method. They will suggest clients, you can use this, 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 this. That's a great way of suggesting like a list of contacts that we can contact for the clients to contact. That's right. But after that, it's best if we can offer them a short-term solution by using the downstream method. All right, so if you choose clients A, B, and C, what are their key benefits? What kind of SWOT analysis they have? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What brings them to the pesto? And we narrow it down. So clients can look at a more consolidated report. They understand that, okay, students understand what we have and what they can offer me. And then from all these solutions, what I can do with all these solutions. So that will be my presentation for the moment. And then I know it's not up to an hour, but if we have more students more engaged, then they can have a shorter discussion in between. So that will be the end of my presentation. Any questions?
No worries. Thank you so much. It was great because we're still going to record. I'm still recording it, and it's going to get played to the students. So you did perfect. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Andre, for stepping in at last minute.
No problem. You have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.